What up, fam? It's your favorite nephew, your favorite uncle, your favorite brother, your favorite son, your favorite father, your best friend's best friend. It's me, Dr. Larry, and welcome to Living For You, the YouTube channel. This is a safe space, a positive place, where we come together weekly, multiple times a week really, to discuss very important topics to our development and to our growth, to our spiritual health, to our emotional and mental health, and just our overall well-being. This is a good place to be on the internet. There's a lot of places you can be on the internet. Many of them aren't really positive spaces and really uplifting places, but this is one of those few places you can go and actually get that for yourself. So hopefully you're coming here, you're enjoying it, you're loving it. I'm loving the fact that we're getting more subscribers. Thank you, those of you who are brand new subscribers. You have chosen one of the best decisions you're going to make in your life. Why? Because you have chosen to be a positive interactor with us as we entertain ourselves, as we grow with each other. You've chosen to be part of a really good community. Those of you who've been around for the long haul, it's been a year at this point, welcome again. I love you. You're family. My new subscribers, you're now family. We're embracing you. We show the love. I want y'all to even show love to each other. Leave comments and discuss things and grow with each other. That is why I created this space, for us to build a community of positivity and light and spread this all over the world. And for those of you who are in the peripheral, I see y'all back there. Come on in. Hit the subscribe button. Join the community. Do all of those things. For those of you who are new, for those of you who are just visiting and observing, I am Dr. Larry Smith. I'm a certified life and spiritual coach, emphasis on both of them, and I help people process their trauma. I help people process their trauma to a place of whole. My niche are African American males between the ages of 18 and 40. You guys know we need trauma healing in that community, but I help everybody. Man, woman, child, white, black, green, purple, anybody who needs to find peace, I'm able to help you, and I have resources. If you want to know more about those resources and you want to know a little bit more about me, you can go to www.liveforyoucoaching.com. That is www.liveforyoucoaching.com. We've been on the way of a revamp, of a growth, and so it's transitioning. So be loving and be kind and patient with the transition. That's what happens in business. You got to transition. And then, of course, if you want to follow me on a day-to-day basis as I post things on social media about what I'm cooking, about what I'm doing, about how I'm living, positive quotes, uplifting things, oh, you name it, or just random things out of my brain on a day-to-day basis, you can actually follow me on social media at Dr. Larry Smith on both Instagram and on Facebook. I'm also on TikTok, but we might develop that. I don't know. I find TikTok to be more entertainment for me than actually a resource that I use. But you never know. It could possibly one day become a resource. Who knows? We'll see. But right now, it's Instagram and Facebook at Dr. Larry Smith on both. Welcome, welcome. Well, you guys have been here. And you know, over these last 3 weeks and continuing on to week 6, because it's 6 chapters, we actually have been diving into the Freedom Prescription, my book that is now out on Amazon. If you haven't got your copy of the Freedom Prescription, Medicine for Reclaiming Your Present Life after trauma, then why are you here? Not just kidding. You can still be here because the information is still useful. But if you read the book, I don't give summary and everything about what I'm talking about in the book. It's gems. It's a very cheap and affordable book. It's a resource. It's a catalyst to your healing. I really, really believe, and I bless this book to know that it's going to help so many people, move them in the direction to healing. And some people who aren't that far off, it actually is going to help them possibly find the healing and be able to move to a sense of present life. And what I mean when I say that, because I've said that over the course of many videos, that I believe in living a present life. When you are present, you are fully aware of everything, right? Your smell is connecting with all of the smells, the pleasant smells, and everything else around you. When you are hearing presently, you're hearing everything in the moment. When you are seeing presently, you're seeing everything. Feeling presently, you are feeling presently. You know, and you're all 5 of your physical senses, are there. But then when you're also present on a mental level, your mind is there. So when you're talking to people, when you're engaging people, you're not just in a conversation in passing, you are part of it. You are engaging, you are indulging, you are enjoying, you are loving that. And then on a spiritual level, you are fully in line with God. For those of you who have the monotheistic God, and to those of you who have a polytheistic God, you are in line with the gods. And those of you who just believe in a spiritual entity, you are at one, Atman, with that spirit. You are aligned on a deeper level. You are aligned on a universal level. You are aligned on a spiritual level. So when you are present, you are fully engaged in living. You are alive. There's no way to live in the past, and there's no way to live in the future. So your only way of living truly is to fully engage in the now. So that's what I mean when I say being present. You're here. You've shown up, and it's your experience for the enjoyment. It's your experience for the taking. It's your experience. It's your choice to have and to engage and to indulge this experience. And so that's what I mean when I say present. But sometimes in life, and myself included, I'm not a person who has never had any trauma. I've had tons of trauma, which led me to go down my spiritual paths and my mental, emotional paths and my therapy paths and all the stuff that I went through, trying to figure out how to process. And then I figured out how to deal, and then I figured out how to heal. And then once I figured out how to heal, I moved from that point on to learning how to live. And that is the process that I'm still on with you guys. The process on living in the present and enjoying the moment and being positive and upbeat and optimistic and seeing life in a better light than just my negative experiences. And I became a coach to help as many people along the journey with me as I can. So if you haven't gotten the book, get the book. The book will be useful to you. It's a tool. It's a tool. I'm not a tool. The book is a tool. So it will be able to help you get and process and try your best to find your way through where you're trying to go. Now, this particular week we deal with chapter 4. And you guys know I have my notes. And in chapter 4, we actually deal with loving yourself again. After we've gone through our traumas, it has a way of, we have a way of losing self-esteem or having a lower perception of ourselves after going through trauma. And remember, I said trauma can come in any sizes. A small trauma might hurt somebody in a big way, where a big trauma, someone might not take it the same way. It's a very personal, trauma is traumatic experiences, and trauma in itself is a very personal endeavor. However, there are very common things and common responses to it. And one of the most common responses is a loss of self-love, a loss of self-appreciation, a loss of high valuation and self-worthiness. We lose those things. Why? Because trauma doesn't just always affect us physically, it affects us internally the most. And self-esteem is an internal endeavor. And so I dealt with in chapter 4, trying to help people get back to a place of self-worth, a place of looking at yourself and seeing something valuable to the world and something valuable to yourself. Because you are. No matter what you've been through, no matter who you are, no matter what you've done, no matter how life have changed for you and whatever around that you seem to think about, you are worthy and valuable to even be existent. Your existence is just as important to me as mine. Because it affects my world in the grand scheme of universal thought. And so because of that, your existence and your happiness is important to not just to you, but it's actually important to everybody you encounter, and on a grander level, everybody on this planet. Because I think we are at 7.2 billion people. We're all interconnected and interweave on a spiritual level, and we interact with each other sometimes without even knowing. Even just passing somebody in the grocery store, giving somebody a smile. Good customer service, bad customer service. Interactions that are positive and negative have an impact, can have a reverberation or a chain reaction in somebody's day and affect so many other people. And it might be somebody you never physically see ever again, but you're emotionally, spiritually, cosmically connected. So it's very important. So when your self-esteem is low, after a trauma or even because of a trauma, you're in a difficult place. And this is a very dangerous place to be, because a person is capable of doing serious emotional and possibly physical harm to themselves or someone else when they are acting and living from a place of low self-esteem or a place of unworthiness. We've all been around people like that. We've all experienced people like that in our lives. Hell, some of us have been those people. I was that person who was dangerous to other people in relationships, who was dangerous to other people I interact with unknowingly. I wasn't in full capacity of understanding this. I understood this later on when I started to dive in, do the work, and do the healing that I needed to. But I was a dangerous person. I can see why some of my life experiences were what they were because of my own non-healing and low self-worth and low worthiness, unworthiness, believing perception within myself. So I got it. I can give you direct testimony of that experience. And so you become a very dangerous person. You're pretty much you're a threat. And you know, in the book I have a character really just he's really the example of a lot of people, you know, and he deals with stuff like that. His name's John. John's a 37-year-old man who has been abused, and now he has all kinds of issues that he perceives, and he sees himself in a very low place, you know. And we've been following him since the first chapter, just as an example. And his example resonates with both men, women, trans women, gay, straight, bi, non-binary, everything. Religious, non-religious, of multiple races and ethnicities. We all have had a little bit of John inside of our psyche as people if we've experienced certain traumas. And so that's why I use the character name of John. However, it's based partially on my experiences and my thoughts and my feelings. And so that's why I was able to speak from that place. But it is a dangerous place. And as a community, I'm very, well, as a black man, I am very, very, very animate about the healing and the growth of my community. Because for many, many years, it's been difficult, to say the least, for us to move forward and to grow as a community collective. We've watched other communities come in and grow and thrive. We've watched people around us of other ethnicities and races come around and thrive, you know, start from little means and thrive. But we, as a collective, some of us are growing and have grown, and others of us are lagging behind. And on a generalization, a lot of us are lagging behind. And I feel that it is clear that it would benefit young black children to learn how to have healthy self-esteem and develop a solid sense of self-love. Because a lot of them don't. And justifiably so, society doesn't always paint black people, American society, and maybe European society, westernized society, doesn't always paint black people in the positive of light. We barely know our history. I'm working on something in that lane, so you'll find that out soon. But we barely know our history, we barely know our culture, we barely know our ancestry, our spiritual groundedness. We barely know any of that. We're more familiar with white culture and Europeanized culture and dogma and religion and all the other stuff than our own center stuff. A man cannot prosper if he is not in touch with his reality. A woman cannot prosper if she is not in touch with her reality. Black male masculinity is one thing, black male femininity is one thing, but we also know that on a spiritual level they intermingle and weave. So a black man, as do slavery and other things, we've been scared to tap into our femininity. And as black women, we've been scared to tap into our masculinity. or we've been forced to over tap into our masculinity. So it's confusion and chaos, low self-worth, low understanding and self-esteem of oneself. And I do believe my people can benefit quite a bit from it. But the reality is you have to realize that your thoughts play a dramatic role in who you are. It really, 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 really is important for people to gather that your thoughts play a dramatic role in who you are. Everything starts and ends with you. Everything starts and ends with you. And so it is important that you know that, you believe that, you perceive that, you own that. So anyway, in this chapter, back into the book, in this chapter, I dive into Iyanla Vanzant in one of her works that I really, really, really appreciate. And one of the things that it's really her Living Through the Meantime book, which I found very useful in my own healing journey. And I've said this multiple times on this channel. I love Mother Iyanla. I love Miss Iyanla, Auntie Iyanla, whatever you want to call her. Because I feel like the work that she did through Fix My Life and through some of her other meaningful works, her books and everything, I feel as though she has brought something, specifically, definitely to the Black community, but to the world, of what people need. See, when it comes to programs like that I create, when it comes to this YouTube channel, when it comes to this book, when it comes to when I go and do talks and when I interact and when I do coaching sessions and all kinds of stuff, that's my life's purpose. I'm an educator for many, many years, and so I know the power of education and wisdom and disseminating that knowledge, and I touch so many lives. You know, I don't always see the material gain from the lives I'm touching, and that's not the point. My mission is to touch lives and to help people find themselves, their love for themselves, their healing, their self-worth. And so Miss Iyanla to me is really good at teaching that. That's kind of her thing. I just resonate so much with her. And I talk about that a lot in the book because the running theme of this particular book is self-love. Self-love. Getting back to, you know, my theme, my book is for you to get back to loving yourself, because everybody initially, babies love themselves. Babies don't know anything other than self-love. It is going through the chaos and the mishigas and the wahala of life in which we learn not to love ourselves. And so as children get older and they have different experiences and interactions and whatever going on in life, that's when self-loathe and self-hatred and low self-esteem kicks in. Because babies love themselves. And so I believe we got to get back to the self-love. And so in her book, she does a lot of things. And she talks about acceptance, as I like to talk about as well. One of the things that she points out that is very important, I'll just read different things because I think it's very important. She said you got to clean your house. And by house, she means yourself, your inner life. You got to clean it. You know, she said love, hold on. She says the truth of who you are, the truth about what you do, the truth about what you want, the truth about what you see, about what you know, and the truth about what you do not know. Tell yourself the truth. So it begins with acceptance and honesty and knowing these things. If you're looking for self-love, then it has to deal in the truth. A lot of people live in this delusional state of who they are, or what they want, or what they perceive they want, and then they wonder why they never found happiness. Because you got to get to the root and get to the truth of what you want and who you are in order to truly find the happiness that we all desire to have. If you're in a relationship and it's not good and it hurts you, Miss Iyanla says love's not supposed to hurt. Love does not hurt. It gently guides you to where you need to be at any time, any given time in your life. Love is not out to crush you. Love opens your eyes, clears your mind, and above all, opens your heart to a greater experience of you. You. And that's all self-love would do to you. You know, it's also, she gives a lot of points. Ask for exactly what you want. Tell the absolute truth about what you want. Clearly let others involved know your expectations of them. Tell the absolute truth about your ability to live up to the expectations of others. Honor what you feel first to yourself, then to others. Never dishonor or deny yourself or what you feel simply to please someone else. Be willing to surrender or give up what you want to expect when surrendering. It serves a greater purpose, such as healing or generating more love. Be willing to forgive people for the things they do fail to do in fear or anger. Be willing to forgive yourself for all the things you do fail to do in fear or anger. And bless every experience and ask God, the divine will and understanding be granted to you and to others. Forgive yourself, trust yourself, support yourself, honor yourself, commit yourself, love yourself. That is so super important. And the reality of it is loving yourself starts within. Developing your train of thought within. Looking at how you feel, taking those thoughts into consideration. You have a right to be upset about things if things upset you. You have a right to have a feeling about certain things. You don't have to just pretend like things don't upset you. But pay attention to the thoughts that are limiting you from having a self-worth that is necessary for you to heal and to live presently. So if you have a thought like, I'm a victim because of what you've been through, that's a limiting thought. Instead of change it to, I'm a survivor, or I am someone I overcame. I am victorious. It's just a simple way of taking thoughts that limit you internally and turning them around positively. Taking what you see and seeing something different. Because I firmly believe that life is not about, I don't believe seeing is believing. I believe believing is seeing. So if you see and believe and think something, if you believe and think something is what it is, that is what it's going to be. But if you think of something positive is what it is, it also can be that too. It's all about perception. Reality is all about perception. And we're not talking about faking the phone. We're not talking about walking around acting like you don't see things and acting like you live in this weird fantasy world where nothing impacts you. I'm not saying that. I'm saying be realistic and accept what is. But at the end of the day, don't focus on what is, as what is the only experience that you're going to have. No matter what the experience. If you're in a job you hate, find ways to enjoy the job or find another job. Accept that the job ain't for you and move on. But if you want to stay in the job and the money is paying, well, okay, I make great money. That's why I'm here. So I'm going to focus on that. Or I can get along with these people at this job, so I'm going to focus on that. Or this job gives me the experience to do this in the future, so I'm going to focus on that. But if you focus on the job being a sucky, terrible, horrible job that you hate, it's going to be a sucky, terrible, horrible job that you hate. That's just how life works. So change your perception. If you can't physically change your situation, change your perception. If you can change your situation, then why don't you just do that instead of continuing to gripe about it? I know it feels comfortable to have the anger and the resentment and the madness about what's going on and whatnot, but at the end of the day, that ain't healthy for you. And if you want to truly live present and live a happy life, you have to start doing things to get on that direction. And one of the first things is to change your perception of yourself and start loving you. Nobody can ever love you like you love yourself but God. God is the highest love for you, but your love is supposed to align with God for yourself. Love your neighbor as you love yourself and as God loves you. That's how it works. But you have to have self-love for any of the self-love has to be in that equation for your love to be expressed in the highest form that only God can give. That God trains us to be. So anyway, I ain't gonna go on, I ain't gonna preach on, but hopefully you're reading the book and you're following along. And of course, we'll be back next with chapter 5, and we're gonna dive into that and talk more about that and just give you kind of a taste. Because if you really want the whole meal, you gotta go and get the book. The book, once again, is the Freedom Prescription on Amazon. Get you a copy. Send it to you. And if you want me to sign it, maybe if you're in person and you see me or you want a signed copy, we can arrange that too. Either way, get the book, read the book, start working on yourself to get more present. Thank you guys for being here. I love you guys. As I always say, I love you with the love of God, Christ, the highest love possible. And as I always say, I will see you in the next video.